Relax, the keyboard is off and the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink, the show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Join your host, Lance Green, the guardian of the blue paint turned writer, and co-host SteelFlyers, as we bring you all the latest on the Philadelphia Flyers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink with your host, Mr. Lance Green. How you doing, Lance?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself, Steel?
Ooh, man, I'll tell you what, man. I'm in an exceptionally interesting mood because the Flyers have done some things that I don't think we were expecting that they were going to do this early in the season. What do you think?
I mean, that's for sure. They strung together a couple of wins here against some solid teams, playoff teams at that, and yeah,
Stanley Cup
surprised a
winning
couple
teams.
people. Yeah,
So I'll tell you what, man. This is the kind of thing that I guess people weren't expecting. A lot of the pundits at the beginning of the season were not really picking the Flyers to have any kind of or be any kind of relevancy or anything along those lines like that. You know what I mean? And for the most part, the Flyers have basically been proving them wrong to a certain extent.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To a certain extent. So that's some of the stuff that we're going to get into. There's a whole bunch of other things that we're going to get into on the show here. So what do you think, Lance? Are you ready to fly into this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to get into it. It's been an exciting week for the Flyers. So
It has been, and we're kind of chomping at the bit here to get started here. So here we go, folks. We are on episode number 146. Number 146, and the Flyers are finding a groove even without a potent power play. And that's one of the things I think we really need to touch on here because we touched on it last week in the show. Last week we talked about it, and Lance was able to release an article, which, by the way, that article will be linked in this show as well too. So, but that kind of goes along with what we're talking about here, what's going on with the Flyers, and what we think is going on. But first of all, let's start off with some of the really awesome stuff here, right? Let's face it, Flyers have put together a nice little 4-game win streak ever since that, like, I don't know, what would you call that game against the Sharks? The bell, the wake up call, the do you really want to be this bad? I mean,
yeah, I mean that was definitely a rough game. It kind of weird couple bounces and all kinds of other stuff that happens, I guess, but not against a team you want it to happen against. But ever since then, like you said, they strung together some pretty good wins. I think against 3 playoff teams because I think the Kings got in last year,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. They weren't really relevant in the playoffs, but anyway. But the Ducks team too. I mean, they got a bunch of young kids. They're still in the same boat as us, rebuilding and stuff like that. But man, do they draft well? And they're going to have a slew of other young guys coming up as well. So, but I think we talked about that, kind of last week. But this week, you had the Hurricanes come in, and we went there actually.
Yeah, we
but
were there, yeah.
we were there. But man, what a solid game they had. Against that team that's been super tough the past couple of years, has gone through a couple of changes in personnel, but they always do. Carolina's not willing to spend the kind of money to retain the people. They just rather go out and find people to replace them, and they commonly do.
And they do, yeah, right.
But the Flyers are surging, and Konechny had a nice one. Ryan Poling has been stepping it up, I think. We liked him from the signing and saying that he would be a great fourth line player and stuff like that. But he seems to be showing that he has a little bit more that he has to offer than just being some
exactly. He got to wear the dog mask after the
Yeah,
one game, so
yeah, he's a little bit more than of an offensive, threat, more so than just the banger on the fourth line.
exactly.
And I'm all right with that for sure. But another thing
Other things
you,
that
you
he
had,
does, though,
oh, for
Lance, is
sure.
penalty killing and all the other things that he's doing as well, too. So I'll take any kind of offensive anything out of Poling all day long.
Well, I mean, for the money we're paying him, great. A solid addition to the team that was much needed. He's not a overage veteran, but he does have a couple of years of NHL experience under his belt, and he
Go
he fit
figure.
into this team, and just a great signing by Danny and company, and definitely is gonna be an upgrade over some of the others that we had last year. But man, Owen Tippett scored in this game again, and I've been big on this guy for a long time. I loved him in with the Steelheads in the OHL, and ever since we acquired him, I've been preaching that this guy is gonna be big, and or has the potential to be anyway. And he's showing us right now, and contract talks and stuff heating up, and I don't know, Steel. I think there's some big numbers that were thrown out there, but I think the Flyers might want to sign him. He's young enough. He's young enough to sign for some time, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if
The
they kind
more
of, yeah.
he had the 1 year last year that he broke out, but he looks to be doing the same thing again. He's up against some of the top goal getters right now, Konechny and others, and Cam Atkinson, whatever, Sean Couturier for points and all that. But man, he's getting going. He's a really exciting player. Every time he steps on the ice, I love to see what he's going to do next. Even if he doesn't score, he's making some big plays. He's hustling. He's putting the puck on somebody else's stick, giving them the opportunity to score. Um, just a really good pickup, and maybe one of the only good things that Chuck Fletcher did while he was here. But
Well. Hold on a sec. Hold on, because
yeah,
I think there's been a couple. They won a couple, two more maybe that might have
yeah,
gone come
maybe.
good. Because hey, how about and shout out to our boy Tyson Forster getting off the schneid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Man, that had to be a
Hey.
good feeling for him for sure. Of course,
On the
Steele's
power
talking
play
about
even.
yeah, Steele's talking about his goal against the Golden Knights, and man, yet again a 4-3 victory over them. I'll take that all
All
day in
day.
overtime.
I don't care.
Um,
I don't
yeah,
care.
yeah, man, that's a great feeling to go out there and beat the best. And Sean Couturier had 2 points. Sanheim has been putting up the points. I think he's actually leading the team in points uh, right now with 16. So, man, we talked a lot about this last week with you know Ristolainen being out, and really giving Sanheim the opportunity to go get it and not have to be back so much, and do what he does best, and what he did with the Hitmen and stuff like that in Calgary. Go after that offensive chance, and take it. And man, 16 points in 17 games. That's not bad. Almost a point per game for a defenseman in the NHL.
And a plus
Um,
player and a plus player. So
yeah.
I've been hearing that Ristolainen is actually quote unquote ready, but because of how other players, a la
Well, there's a lot of them. Yeah, you got you got your certain guys that are stepping up, like Belladipo is really looking good, and although he made a rookie mistake in one of the games, Zumala's really looked good, really pushing the puck out of the zone well.
DiPietro, DiPietro,
No DiPietro.
Meta. No, what was the name?
Louis Belladipo.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, defenseman. But Sean Walker's looking great. Uh,
That's who I
bunch
was
of those
mostly
guys.
talking about was Sean Walker. The number of
Well,
shots that he blocks and everything else
yeah,
like that.
and I mean, he's solid. He was solid in LA, and he was very underrated when he was in LA. And I was overjoyed with who we were able to get in that trade in Walker, and Helgi Grans as well, who I think is doing a pretty good job down in Lehigh,
I agree.
considering.
I agree.
So, I mean, he's not a big point guy per se, but
He's a good defenseman.
he's a good darn defenseman,
Yeah,
and we'll have to see what he can really bring in the coming years as well. Hopefully,
I'm
he can
with you.
develop because he's nice. So, but
But
overall, great games for sure for the Flyers recently. Everybody's kind of firing on all cylinders, and it took a kick in the pants for a couple of the players by Tortorello. Maybe some guys got in their feelings, but guess what? They woke up and started producing. So
well,
that is
now,
exactly what Tortorella wanted to do, and he's going to push you if he expects more out of you, and he knows what he can get
yep.
out of you. So
I
that's
I'm
what he's
with you.
always done.
Yep, I'm with you, and we both agreed on that. We've talked about that many times. Here's the one of the other things too. I think that we need to talk about with this 4 game winning streak as well too, where let's face it, the Flyers have actually put up some offense. 17 goals for versus 9 goals against. Okay, so that's putting up some offense. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's not just letting the goalie hang out to dry. Basically, do you know what I'm saying? And that's been the other key factor here, and I think that's one of the other things too with the additions of Walker and Zumala, and even York has been playing really well, and do you know what I mean? And Sandheim has just been popping off the tape. Okay, he really has. Okay, the things that I've been seeing him and Walker doing are they're blocking shots, they're driving the play. Do you know what I'm saying? But there's still a lot of other things that need to work on. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like you said, the biggest thing is that you're getting production defensively from two players you wouldn't really expect to get this much production, and that's
Exactly.
Nick Steeler and Zumala, who are a team best, tied for a team best as a +10 right now. All right, that's out of two defensemen that you're paying pennies to on the dollar compared to others,
Yeah, exactly.
and
Hmm.
that is exactly what we need. Somebody that's defensively responsible, that can move the puck a little bit. Even Sealer, he doesn't have a lot of points with 4, but
Yeah,
he's made some key plays
very.
in these past couple of games to
Yeah.
to get it going, and he can play both sides. Man, I'm glad they kept him around this year and didn't try to trade him away
Yeah.
at the deadline or something like that for some measly 6th or 7th round pick that probably won't develop anyway. I really like him. He's a plug-in player, and he's not going to complain about ice time. He's not going to complain about what side he's playing. He's just happy to be there.
I'm with you, and touching on that with the defense, the Sandheims and the Walkers and all that other things, that makes it easier for a goaltender like Erson or a goaltender like Hart, who can find a groove and kind of swing in their groove, and that's exactly what's been going on here with Hart. You can tell he's confident in the net. You can tell that even though Erson had that that one squeaker game, he came back and played really well. Okay, in this streak, they had the back to back there where he played in that second game, and he looked phenomenal. Okay, and that I think that was the Anaheim game where it was kind of the revenge game. Even though Carlson did score a hat trick, we put up 6 on them because the previous game they had put 7 up on the Flyers.
Right.
That was Carlson that played in that game. Then that didn't look really well. You know what I mean? So the goaltenders have been playing really well for Philadelphia during this time, and I think Carter Hart has been playing well. Even Cal Peterson came back and played a good game. To come in when Hart was down with his food poisoning, and then
Right.
you know what I mean. And so it, that's kind of what I wanted to say here. We're getting defensive production. We're getting defense that's staying at home and doing the things that they need to do. And we're getting really good play out of all of the goaltenders, Carter Hart, Arison, and Cal Peterson after this San Jose game. Look, I know it's only 4 games, but hey, man, it's something good, something
Yeah, if you
positive.
get on a
Look at
good
what's
stretch
going
like that, you
on.
can be good.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. If you go on a run like that and 4 or 5 games at a time, quite a few times a year, that's gonna bode
Adds
well
up.
for you in playoff time, right?
That adds
And
up.
yep. And like you said, Carter Hart especially has been carrying the load. Thank you guys for the others that came in and tried to play hard, but we want to see Carter Hart succeed. We want to see him take over the net. If he's going to be the goalie, let him be the goalie. And he's got 6 wins in 10 games. His goals against average is a lot better than it has been over the course of his career. He's down to a 2.40 right now, so he's letting in under 2.5 goals a game, and he's
Got a
save percentage
shutout.
is going up. His save percentage is going up to a 919, almost 92%. Still could get a little bit better, but overall, he's stopping. I'm pleased with it because the team is
Yeah,
getting offensive production as well. So
exactly.
that is something different as well. Where last year, maybe the year before that, we weren't getting this kind of offensive production. A lot of people were hurt, obviously, and most people that are here are healthy now. So knock on wood. But with that, Carter Hart, right? Carter Hart is not only stopping the saves and the shots that he should stop, but he's pulling 1 or 2 a game out that you wouldn't think he would stop, right? And that is the difference. That's what we've been preaching, guys, for a long time here, and that's the difference between a okay average goaltender and heading towards a good or great goaltender. And in order to win these couple stretches of games in a row here, Carter Hart's going to have to come up big some nights. The team
And he
offense is
has.
going to carry you some nights. The defense is going to pull some wins out, but most of the time it's relying on the goalie most nights. And if they're not on top of their game and they're not pulling a couple of these kind of stops a night where the whole crowd stands up on their feet expecting it to go
And, and,
in an
and the light
opposing
doesn't
arena
go
or something
off.
like that, and it doesn't go in,
Yeah, right.
that is what is going to be needed to win a couple
Yeah.
of these close, hard fought games until we get some of these elite level prospects, the Gauthiers and all that, and the Mishkovs coming over, so that we can kind of counterbalance that and put
Man,
more goals in than
man.
we're allowing in, and you know it's going good right now. But
Speak it.
you know,
Speak it.
let's
That's the
let's
way.
let's stay with it, Carter. He, he's has his ups and downs and seasons, and he's on an up right now, and he's riding it. I hope he doesn't go through a bad stretch because when he goes through a bad stretch, it can really get bad
Yeah.
in these past couple of seasons, and he can kind of get down on himself and out of his groove. But he's in that groove right now, so let's ride it. Let's keep him in net like he is supposed to be doing as a starting goaltender. Let's ride that high and catch him
Why he's
why
good.
he's
Yeah.
good,
Why
man.
he's
Why
good,
he's
man. You
on
said it.
top of it.
You said it, man. You said it perfectly, dude. Catch him while he's good. Ride that horse until that's exactly what you're supposed to do with a starting goaltender. That's what a starting goaltender is supposed to be doing. That's what a good slash elite goaltenders can do. They
Right.
play most of the games, they take on more of the load, and they do it in a way where they continue to win and the team continues to win. But based off of the last 2 years, this team has had much more improved defense. Let's face it, the defense is much
Mhm.
more improved. There's much less. Look, some of the games that the Flyers have played, they have held teams to less than 20 shots on goal. Do you have any idea how hard that is to do? Right? Okay, in this day and age, when players are encouraged to just put the puck on net because anything can happen. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? So when you have that kind of shot blocking, when you have that kind of production from your goaltenders, the save percentages, even a shutout here and there, you know what I'm saying? Well, when you get that kind of stuff, that help. And then not only that, but you're putting points up on the board. You got uh uh guys that are on point streaks now. Hey, what? So this is what
Been a minute,
happens.
right? It's been a
But
minute.
this is what happens when you win.
Yeah.
Look, hey, go figure, right? Not everybody was saying that this was going to happen for the Flyers. We felt that there was talent here, but it just needs that time to come together. This
Well,
might be that year before the year where we might actually squeak in, or that whatever they've increased
ninth
the
place team or something
yeah, whatever,
right on the outside.
right, they've increased the number of teams that get in the playoffs now. If we're the eighth or ninth seed, whatever, who cares, right? But they made it, and that's where the Flyers might end up this year, because I think that with the talent, look, I'm even going to say this too, and I think even my man Lance Green, the writer extraordinaire, the editor in chief, will agree with this. Frost has been playing pretty decent. He's played pretty well. But here's the question that I have, and this is kind of why I wanted to go down on this road, is this. In spite of how good everything is going, I'm a little concerned about what's going on with Bobby Brink, because I know he was sat as a healthy scratch, and I know he has been, and then I read that he was getting some rest, that he needed, you know what I mean? And so now I need to know what's going on. Is he hurt? Or what's going on with Bobby Brink? Because I'm going to tell
Well,
you something, exactly with what we talked about in the last show and this show, is that he helps to drive play. Okay? So how do we get that kid into the lineup without removing some of the juice, some of the, you know what I'm saying, right? And without upsetting the apple cart down the middle. So how do we bring him in?
yeah, I mean, for your first question there, he's not on any, injury list. He's not on long-term IR, anything like that. He is essentially healthy, but they're just kind of sitting him or whatever like that. Now, um, maybe he has little bumps and bruises or something like that. I don't know. I'm not in, the training room or anything like that, but you look at it, and he played 13 games this year. He's got 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. He's a plus player, doing everything right. He was leading, right up with the leaders of the rookies for some time there, as far as points go, and he's definitely making the team exciting to watch when he's out there because, like you said, he's making plays. He's getting into the zone. He's forechecking. He's disappearing out on the ice, reappearing in scoring high scoring areas. Um, just nice to player to have watch out there, and he's kind of like an Owen Tippett in that sense, in saying that every time he's out there, you see good things happen, and you see exciting plays come from him.
And when he steps
Whether
out on
he's
the ice,
taking
you
the
have to
shot,
be.
yeah, you got to watch him. You got to watch him because he can disappear. Like I said, he's a small guy. He's 5'8", 5'9", depending on who you ask, or if he's got his skates on or
Oh
not.
yeah,
But
right.
um,
Maybe we could get him to 5'10" with those new skates.
right. So I mean, you're looking at a very elusive player, and he's he's definitely a point getter. You can see that from his time in Denver as well. So just somebody I was really excited to see get healthy this season
Me
and
too. Me too.
be able to make the team out of
Yeah,
camp.
he did. Yeah.
I would hate to see him send him back down.
Yeah.
And if he's not going to get in the lineup though for that many more games, if he's healthy and not on the on the injury list, I think you got to just
Yeah,
to keep him playing at this
yeah,
point. But
yeah.
again, I would like to see him get into the lineup again. I really don't know who you would essentially take out in a sense, but man, he's an electric player, and it's hard to see him sit in the press box or anything like that, So I don't know.
That's kind of where I'm at with that. You know what I mean? I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit on that. And and I go look. You have to listen to the press conferences from Tortorella, and when you do, and that's why I'm kind of throwing that question out there, because I'm not really seeing any real major reason why you would be taking him out. He's not, costing you anything. He's not doing turnovers that's, costing you goals because the other team is putting the puck in the net because he turned it over or anything else like that. Do you know what I mean? He's not a minus player. He's not, he's doing all the right things. I mean, are you just giving him a couple of days rest because he's coming back from a long term injury? Or what are you doing here? I mean, are you trying to get another look at Frost? I mean, look, this whole thing is what Tortorella has said from the very beginning. There's a lot of young players on this team, and there's going to be a lot of decisions that are going to have to be made throughout the season. And there's going to be guys that are going to come in and guys that are going to go out. There's going to be young guys coming in and old guys going out, and old guys going in and young guys coming in. He said that. He said that so many times at so many different times throughout press conferences, throughout the whole summer, throughout what he's been doing so far. So I, I'm not trying to read anything into it. I'm just concerned about, what's going on, because I think he's an exciting player that drives play that I think should be in the lineup more than not. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, but it's hard to pull somebody out when you're beating Stanley Cup champion teams and stuff. So, and Carolina, who was number one seed, number two seed the past couple of years. You know,
That
I
was
guess you
an
don't really mess
impressive
with a good
win,
thing in that sense until they start losing a couple of games. But
right? That was an
definitely,
impressive win.
definitely would like to see him come in and come back in the lineup and start start right back up where he left off.
That would be nice. I would agree with that 100%. But the Flyers, and they have a game as they'll be probably hitting the ice here shortly for a game on this night. But and they actually have a chance to win that game too, because Columbus hasn't really been playing all that great, and they have a chance to play really well and put another game up there on the W. I mean, we're excited about this team, man. This was not something that we were expecting, a 4-game win streak. I mean, look, I'll take these little victories, because this is kind of how I feel about this year. I feel like this is the year before the year, because hopefully, Lord willing, we'll get the Cutter Gauthier will want to come here now. Because now he's starting to see what's going on, depending on what happens with him in college. Like, if he wins the national championship, he'll come. If he doesn't, he might stay another year, because Mitchkov is at least another year out, right? I think Bonk is at least another year out, maybe. I mean, look, some of the guys that we've got right now in our pipeline, Bonk, Rizzo, McPherson, have been playing, Gautier, have been playing lights out, right? They've been playing really, really well. So one of those guys is going to make the team next year.
Good
Something like,
potentially for sure. Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, um,
Yeah, well, it's a good time to get hot right now, and a lot of these games coming up, especially after the Blue Jackets. You have the Islanders, the Rangers, the Islanders again, the Hurricanes, the Devils. So Penguins, a lot of inter division rivals and stuff like that that are gonna mean big time points, and big if you win these games come the end of the season. if they got losses when we face them and we got wins, that's gonna add up for us and maybe vault us into a playoff spot. If we take the series, we got to take these series against these teams that we're going to play 5, 6, 7 times, whatever. Um, we gotta win the majority of them. We got to win at least four out of that a bunch.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly. Look, if you look at the Boston's, you look at the Tampa Bay's, you look at the Carolinas, over the last couple of years, you know what I'm saying? You look at the Colorados and stuff like that, and they're winning those games, right? They're winning. Those are the important games that you need to win. I don't care if you take them to overtime, but you need to win those games. Okay? It doesn't matter if they get a point, but you need the 2 points. End of
Yep.
story. Okay? Seriously. Now, especially now more than ever, if you want to make the playoffs, now is when you have to get those points, especially against teams that are not in your division, like, the LA Kings and the Ducks and that kind of stuff. You need to get those 2 points against them, but you also need to do exactly with what Mr. Lance Green said, and that's get those points within your division against those rival games, against the New Jerseys, against the Capitals, against the Penguins, against the Islanders, against the, you know what I mean? Pick somebody. You got to be winning more of them than losing them.
Yeah, it's great to beat the Golden Knights for a little self confidence, but in the realm of things, that 2 points is great, but it'll count as more if we beat the Rangers or somebody and get 2 points in that game and they
Oh
don't.
yeah.
So
Oh
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
that
yeah.
that
Clearly.
that's what we're talking about here. So yeah,
I'm
it's
with you on
it's
that.
definitely interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing the next couple of games.
Me too.
And then like you said, at the same time, the Blue Jackets, the Sharks, the lower level teams, the Chicago's. You need to win those too. You need to win the games you're supposed to. It's nice to win a game that you can pull out of your hat that nobody
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
you would win, but you need to win the games you're supposed to as well. So
Exactly.
um, we'll see.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Had a bit of a tickle there. But one of the other last things I want to touch on here is the Phantoms are also doing really well. I mean, they're riding a 3 game win streak as well on their own. And they've been doing really well as far as that's concerned. 7-6-2 so far on the season. So it seems like the entire Philadelphia organization has been able to kind of put together a little groove here. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean it's nice to see the farm team winning a couple of games too. Nobody's really blown it out of the water as far as points. I mean,
No, 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 no.
Ali looks Ali looks
He,
good
and he,
down on the farm. I mean, but he was a call up guy last year
yeah,
when they needed somebody. So
yeah,
I was looking to see the more goal production from Tumala. He's got a lot of assists down there, but
yeah,
you know, I want to see some goal production out of him. A lot of guys are sitting with like 2, 3 goals, something
yeah.
like that, and 15 games played here. But I want to start seeing double-digit goals for more people than just one. Um, and maybe we can get a call up or something late in the year or when somebody gets injured and catch a
Exactly.
view on some of these young guys and how they play going up against NHL teams. So see if they can make that jump. So
Exactly. And there's, Ronnie Attards and, those types of players down there in the Phantoms that are potentially available for call up or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? And so, but exciting that the Phantoms are able to put together some wins and, have a winning record and, they're what, sixth, I think, fifth in the division right now. Okay, but it's still early. There's still 50 some games left in the season, so a lot of
yeah, I
hockey
want to
left.
see the Andres, the Emil Andres take off. I want to see the Gendrons, who was a 50 goal scorer in the Q last year, take off. Right now, he's
Yep.
only got 2 goals.
Yeah.
Elliot Dejournay, like he was a potential guy to make the team. People thought
Yeah.
this year even, and he's sitting with 2 goals and 7 points in 12 games. Like I want to see those guys start to explode.
Now he's coming back from an injury, though, right? He's
Right,
coming back
right,
from
right,
an
right.
injury over the summer.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so
even
but still,
yeah, but even John Randall, Avon, he was a guy with the Petes and all that that was exploding down in juniors, and
yep,
it's kind of just, you
not
know,
quite
uh,
there yet.
half a point a game player right now. I want to see some guys take off. So we'll see. We'll touch back with them as we go here. Maybe not every podcast, but maybe every few, and see what they're doing down on the farm because
Oh yeah,
it's going to be important for our future here. We need some of these players to develop. We need some of these players. We're not just waiting on the Gautiers and all that, like you said. We're waiting on some of these guys that have been sitting down here for a couple of years to take off. And it was nice, like you said again, to see Forrester um, net a goal because although he's looked good, he just hasn't been able to finish. And I
yeah,
was starting to think that he could possibly be sent down and
yeah,
spend some time in the AHL if he didn't get going and start netting him. So just to build back his confidence,
yeah, 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 yeah.
a little bit. So
I mean, that might be another thing that might happen with Bobby Brink, the why he's sitting out. I mean, it might be a confidence thing. I mean, we don't know. I mean, we're
right.
not in the locker room. We don't know exactly what's going on with that player. So, I mean, but I'll tell you what, though. I'll take a 4-game win streak all day long, okay? Especially at this point in time in the season where it's the early part of time of the season where these points are few and far between. And when it comes to the end of the season, these are the games that you look back on and go, oh, wow, man, we could have won that game. If we would have won that game, we would have had those extra 1, 2, 3 points to get to that wild card spot or whatever, right? So because let's face it, and Tortorella has said this, and the management has said this, we want to win games now. Look, as far as this organization is concerned, the rebuild is over. Okay, this is where you're bringing in the kids now. Okay, so they're expecting to win games.
Well, that's the refreshing part about it too. Although I don't think we're out of the tunnel just yet.
I'm with you.
Um, we're it's nice to be finally an organization that will put the kids out on the ice and allow them, hey, to make a mistake here and there,
Finally.
but you're getting them the experience, right? I'm
Exactly.
tired of seeing the 35-year-old has-beens come in for a season and block these youth from getting a chance to prove themselves.
It's
So
like what we've been
you
screaming for the
got
last 2 years.
you got some youth down there. So if need be, let's bring a couple more up and cycle them through. Give them a couple of games here and there. Send some down. Bring some back up, and see who sticks.
Exactly. What do you got to lose at this point? You got everything to gain because you've already been to the bottom of the barrel now. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So you have nothing but to go up, to gain, to get better, right?
Right.
This is one of the reasons why I tell you what I've really been impressed with what Tortorella has done with this team. Okay, some of the questions, some things I question, but I'm not in the locker room. I'm not at practice every day. I don't see these guys on a daily basis like he does. Do you know what I'm saying? He's got a lot more insight about what's going on with these players than I ever will. So I'm going to trust a Jack Adams award-winning coach, a coach that's got his name on the cup. I'm going to trust that he's got the team's best interest in mind when he sits a player like Frost or Brink. Because even though we, as either an analyst, a writer, or color, or a fan, even though we may not like these are the things that happen
That's
throughout a
appropriate.
season.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Just because we don't like it doesn't mean that we don't matter.
Well, I think Tortorella. You know, I questioned at first a little bit.
I did
You know,
too.
I know you did. But how his actions would be this time around. But I think he realized his mistakes and he's bettered on them. But hands down, I think Tortorella is a Philadelphia coach through and through
All the
because
way.
his actions represent what the fans want. I believe. Somebody to make somebody accountable for their lack of play or their lackluster play in that sense. I want to see that. I want to see that. If somebody's got a couple of games that they aren't really doing it, pull them out. Put somebody else in that's gonna play. That once is hungry
Hungry.
to play. And
Exactly.
then, like they did with Frost, all of a sudden, when he does get a chance to come back in, you know, his
Results.
skates are on fire. Right? Let's
Results.
go. Right.
Results. Right?
Results. Imagine that.
Hey. But, hey, I don't know a thing.
He's
I,
not out there for just a paycheck, right?
you know,
Tortorella's out here to get this team and really take it back to where it should be. And he said that
relevance.
since the beginning. He said that since the beginning.
Yep.
He respects
Relevance.
the Philadelphia Flyers organization and the team that they've been for so long, and he's taken up this challenge and really wants to see this team, and will it to do good. And I'm here for it, man. I'm a Torts fan right now. Until he proves otherwise,
Me
he's
too.
been doing everything
Me
right.
too. Me too. Hey, listen, man. Last year I ate a lot of crow, right? Because I really was not happy about the fact that he was going to be the co-chair of this team, and I have done nothing but sing his praises and eat crow and admit my mistake, admit that I was wrong, that he was actually the perfect coach for this team, and he has changed and he has matured and he has made and said the right things for this organization, for this fan base, for this team. He's got the right system in place with the type of players that he's bringing in, the type of system that he's got going on. It matches up. Hey, go figure. You know what I'm saying? So you're starting to see the Tortorella system take over. You're starting to see the types of players that system needs to have. The team is starting to acquire. Hey guys,
Go
it
figure,
ain't
right? Go
rocket
figure.
science.
Right. But that's the thing. I mean, you got to trust in Tortorella here, and see that he has the team's best interest and at heart and at mind here, and just go with it because he's going to will this team to win, and
Yeah,
come hell or high water, he's gonna get it the
get it
most
done.
production out of these
Yeah,
guys that he can. This team is on paper not the most elite team, but I think they are playing above expectations of everybody right now, and that's largely due to Tortorella having them ready to go to start the season in shape, and they know at any given day they could come out of the lineup if they're not performing. So kudos to him. Keep up a good job, Torts, and
yeah.
let's see where the season goes. So.
I mean, I know we touched on this a lot last show, and even though this is part of the title for this week's show, but something has to be done with this power play and soon. Okay, and if something isn't done soon, then it doesn't matter. All these things that we talked about, all these ifs, all these couldas and wouldas, and all that stuff are going to be for naught because you're not going to be able to sustain this without doing something with this power play. You need to be able to look. And Lance, you even said it. You said it perfectly. On paper, this team is not listed as elite, but this team has some talent to where they should be able to at least pot a power play goal a couple of times after, say, for every 5 or 6 chances should be at least a goal. Something? Can you give me something other
There's some
than
offensive threats out there, and Tippett and everybody
Atkinson,
else.
Couturier, and
Yeah,
Frost, and
connect me.
Forster,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Konechny, and
one of them should be able to put the puck in the net more so than they are currently, and that's what this article this week that I posted out talks about. and potentially at the time I wrote the article, they were tied for league worst with the St. Louis Blues and only achieving a goal 7% of the time, 7.69% of the
Did
time
you hear
went on
that?
the PP.
Did
That
you
is
hear that?
horrible.
Did you?
Horrible.
That's not even a double. But hey, a career fighter who's never seen the power play, by all means, he's the perfect coach. Not saying
Yeah,
he's
that's
not a bad coach. Not saying he's not a bad coach. Not saying he couldn't coach something else. Hey, if you want to have him coach fighting, or if you want to have him coaching how to block shots, or any of that kind of stuff, or how to block fists with his face, by all means, he's the perfect coach for that, man. But a guy that's never scored on the power play, even been on the power play, why is he coaching the power play? I don't
right.
understand that. When
Yeah,
is that going to change?
yeah, and that's what this article states. There were so many changes that when Danny Briere got in there, and Keith Jones as well. They switched up. They fired Shel Samuelson, which I think was one of the best moves. He's been there for 23 years since he's retired in some form or fashion, and player development has been absolutely horrendous under his watch and so many other things, medical, everything around there has seen a lot of changes in people fired, people brought in, people promoted that were doing a good job in lesser jobs. But you know you
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
who they had over the past couple of years, and you had Lappy be a power play coach. Okay, Lappy was a great professional, but he was a brawler. He was a fourth line grinder. He was a guy that went out there, like you said, blocked shots, um, threw hands when he needed to, and all that. I think he had a handful of goals, power play goals in his career, maybe 4 or 5 ever over
Something like that, yeah. But he played like
extensive
1,600 games, or how many games did he play? Like, how many?
Lappy. Yeah, I think he was well over 1,000 games.
Yeah.
So that's saying something, and he wasn't successful. Imagine that. The team was laughable, like 12% on their power play chances. Finished last in the league. So he got demoted to being head coach of the Phantoms, which I think he's doing much better at. He's
Yeah,
not
I
a power
agree.
play guy,
Yeah, no,
but
I agree. Yeah.
he's a pretty darn good head coach. He's good with the young guys,
Yeah.
and he's because he was a developmental coach and he was successful at that. So he got promoted to running a power play. That doesn't make sense. All right. Like I said in some tweets earlier, that's like having your high school shop teacher with 3 fingers all of a sudden go in and say, you know what, I'm going to teach biochemistry today. That doesn't make freaking sense. He doesn't know anything about scoring power play goals.
Biochemistry.
He doesn't know anything about scoring power play guys goals. So why are you going to put him in that position? And then on top of that, when they did demote him down to being what he is, a good developmental coach for the Phantoms, and the head coach there where he's successful. He got his team to the playoffs last year. They bring in Rocky Thompson, a career fighter, nothing more than a fighter. He has no goals ever, no assists ever, no points ever in the NHL. He only played 25 NHL games, and that's okay. There's great coaches that played in juniors and stuff like that, but this guy has never even been on a power play before. All right, uh, he's only prior to coaching to this was with the San Jose Sharks, where he was amongst the league's worst coaching the power play there. So why do you bring him in to coach the power play here? I don't get it, guys. He spent less time in the NHL in those 25 games than I think I've spent on the toilet in the past week. All right? This is ridiculous. This guy was literally just put out on the ice to say, "Hey, go punch that guy in the face soon as the puck drops."
And that's
That
what he
was the
did.
extent of
But
his
that's
ice
what he
time.
did. Yeah.
That's what he did. That's what he
Yeah.
was. And that's okay. There's a
That's
big cause
great.
for that. I was a league leader or team leader in penalty minutes and fighting majors as a goalie. I love that part of the game. But I'm not going to promote myself if I have a chance to be a power play specialist.
Yeah, right.
Um, anyway, and under this last season, guess what? The Flyers were amongst the league's worst in the power play. I don't know how he was able to keep his job this year, but they finished dead last season of the power play with 15%, and that's still better because they're at the time I wrote the article, like I said, a 7%. I think they're at a 10% success rate right now on the
Yeah,
power
because they
play
actually
because
had
they
two
scored
goals the other night.
because they actually scored a couple power play goals, right? But this isn't even touching the New Jersey Devils and the likes of them, who this year are operating at about 38% on the power play. All
The
right, that's how they're winning
league
goals. But here's
average.
my theory.
The league
Here's my
average
theory,
is like
Steele.
what, 30%, right?
Right. We all know this team loves nepotism, right? I mean, they hired Danny Briere, they hired Keith Jones. You can look back through
John
history, and
LeClaire, Patrick
everybody,
Kane.
John LeClaire, Patrick Kane's been brought in just this year, right? Just this year. So tell me, Steele, why the heck didn't we go out and get a guy to coach the power play when he was available, and Mark Recchi? Uh, okay, let's talk about this.
Duh!
Mark was here with the Flyers for a long, long time. I think 10
Yeah.
years, 11 years, something like that. He has
He had two stints with the Flyers.
2 stints, 3 Stanley Cups as a player, and he's won a couple, I believe, as a coach with Pittsburgh. Imagine that, right? So this guy was able to score 577 goals, 956 assists for a total of 1,533 points, okay, in the NHL. He's a Hall of Famer. And what he did on the power play was even more impressive during his time, okay? Um, he has 200 of his goals, his career goals, came on the power play. 200. That's a lot more than Rocky Thompson.
Hey, can we
All
get
right? That's
somebody
a lot more
like that?
experience on.
Can we get somebody like that to coach the power play? I mean, it doesn't have to be Mark Recchi, but can
Put
we
that
get?
into
I
perspective.
mean,
Put that in perspective, Steele. Wayne Gretzky only had 204 power play goals in his career.
oh,
All right? That's
oh,
how great this guy was on the power play. All right? Mark has 569 power play points. Folks,
my
that's more than Sidney Crosby has. That's more than Alex Ovechkin has. That's more than Brett Hall finished his career with. That's more than Gordie Howe finished his career with. Okay? I'm not saying that a great player always translates to a great coach in a sense, but this guy's got 2 Stanley Cup rings as a coach, all right, in that sense. And he has the experience. I'd much rather say, hey, I'm going to bring in this guy to be a power play coach because he knows how to score on a power play. Obviously, he's done it. He's one of the best. If he can even be half as good, get these guys to be even half as good, we'll be a playoff team. We'll be a Stanley Cup winning team,
we'll
right?
have it all. Then we'll have it all. We'll have the power play, penalty kill. We'll have some offense, some defense. Hey,
Imagine that.
what? Oh my
Imagine that. At
gosh!
least give the guy a 1-year contract. He was sitting as a free agent until the Columbus Blue Jackets fired their hack of a coach, Mike Babcock, who's went off the deep end, and promoted another guy and brought him in to coach what? The power play. Imagine that. Imagine that. So as bad as this team is with nepotism, they didn't want to bring in a guy like this and get rid of Rocky Thompson, a guy that has no clue what he's doing on the coaching the power play. And heck, I mean, he got fired from San Jose from trying to fight Evander Kane in the locker room.
Let's bring that in. Yeah, let's bring that in.
Yeah, let's bring that guy in, right? I guess old habits die hard.
And then here's the really kicker part, right? Last year, he was working the bench. When Tortorella was sitting up in the press box, it was Rocky Thompson was running the show.
Right.
Right? Okay. He must have some really high, powerful friends or something. Because I don't get how he still has his job as the power play coach. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He's a nice guy, right? He really is a nice guy. You talk to him, he's cordial, he's receptive to the media, whatever the case is. All right, cool. I mean, I'm not going to go sit down and break bread with the guy or anything, but, hey, he's a decent, quote unquote, human being, I guess, as far as that's concerned, but he's clearly not suited for coaching the power play. That's all I'm trying to say, right? That's all I'm trying to say. So,
right. And I mean, and then Mark, and for anybody out there that doubts this, Mark's not doing a great deal in Columbus just yet, but he did just get hired midway, well, not midway, but into the
like
season
a
already.
couple
Didn't
weeks
have his
ago,
time to really a couple weeks ago. But I mean, Columbus is a hot mess. And I mean, their leading
that would
goal
be
scorer
putting it
only has
mildly. That would be putting
seven,
it mildly.
7 goals and Boone Jenner. I mean, when you're talking about Adam Fantilli, Johnny Gaudreau, Jack Russell Volk, Patrick Laine, like this team should be producing more than they are right now, and
Not.
they're they're where the Flyers were a couple of years ago before they got rid of Giroux and rid of Voracek. They're just
Yeah.
used to losing right now. They're just used to losing
Yeah.
right now
They need
and are okay with it, I think. They need a big shakeup there,
something.
something that's going to get these guys a kick in the pants because they haven't found it yet. And
I'm
that's for
with you.
sure. They haven't found it yet.
I'm with you. We're hoping that
And
they don't,
and
and we're hoping they don't find it tonight because the Flyers are playing them tonight. So we're hoping they don't
yeah,
find it tonight
yeah.
anyway. So
Cole Sillinger, I mean, why isn't this guy scoring? He was a
yeah,
fantastic prospect.
I'm with you.
Uh, Kent Johnson, like, good grief, this roster is filled with great draft picks that should have been working out, and I don't see,
I don't either.
even Provorov's not really doing anything
No,
there. They
no,
uh,
no.
they need to find the answer there, but hopefully, like you said, not tonight because
Right. Hopefully not
just,
tonight.
just about as we speak, they're getting ready to drop the
Drop the
puck.
puck.
So,
Right. So speaking of
but on
dropping the
that note,
puck,
Steele,
I
I'm
was just
not
gonna
ready to
say.
go watch this game, huh?
Right, I was just gonna say on that note, man, we should drop the puck on this episode right here, folks. I'm here to tell you, man. Episode number 146, man. Flyers finding a groove here, but still not a potent power play here, and they need to take care of that too. We're excited about what the future is going to hold here for this team. We like this 4-game win streak. So Lance, why don't you tell the folks where we can find you, where we can get you? Do you have anything in the works, in the pipeline?
My notepad is pretty full right now. I got a couple of prospect articles. I'm gaining stats and stuff for. In the next couple of games, I'm gonna do
There you go.
something a Flyers article as well. We have a bit of a holiday break here, so hopefully I can sneak away and type up some stuff. Hopefully, so we'll see.
Good
But
deal.
yeah, definitely hope to get something out soon, which you can always find on SteelFlyers.com. And you can follow me on Twitter as well as this show. The Hockey Writers Ink has a Twitter account as well, and Steel does as well. Mine is Lance.Green39.
For sure, man. And the for the show is HCKY Writers Inc. That's at HCKY Writers Inc. And then mine is at SteelFlyers52. And then you know what else you can do? You can hop on over to SteelFlyers.com and catch all of Lance's articles, especially the prospect articles that he's just been putting out. And you got to hop on over to the YouTube page and check out the latest Prospect Watch show. We did our top goalies. We critiqued the top goalies for the 2024 NHL draft, and we got some stuff coming up here for the holiday break. So be paying attention here to that, man. We got some good stuff rolling here for you guys for sure. So, Lance, thank you for all you do, man. I really appreciate it. All the great articles, all the great stuff that you do, man, here at SteelFlyers All Sports Network. Thank you very much for all that. Thank you all, folks, for out there watching and tuning in. All you have to do is go to any one of your favorite podcasting platforms, type in the Hockey Writers Inc., and you'll find us. Hit that 5-star rating, and it helps to get you and get us noticed. So thank you all very much for that, and we will catch you all on the next episode of the Hockey Writers Inc.